What drove you to it? First to you, Senator.
Well, Neil, we were hearing from agricultural interests in South Dakota, exporters, about these challenges they were having getting containers to get their products to overseas markets. And it was coupled with all the challenges people were having, importers were having, getting goods into the country. And so these supply chain issues were becoming more of a prominent issue for people that we represent. And so ironically, yeah, two people from the middle of the country, House and the Senate, worked together to try and do something to clear up a lot of that congestion at the West Coast ports. And got this bill through the House, through the Senate. Dusty got it through the House and on the President's desk, and we're hopeful it's going to make a difference.
So there's obviously a good deal of support for that, but Congressman, to you on what this might signal going forward, that there are ways in which both sides can find common ground, but in a midterm election year, this kind of thing is by far more the exception than the rule. Does that worry you?
Well, I think that's why I'm so disappointed with the president's rhetoric. I mean, he's saying Republicans are trying to do everything we can to get in his way. Well, listen, if his idea of breaking inflation is just by spending trillions of dollars more, then yeah, we're going to stand against that. That is only going to make things worse. But John Thune and Dusty Johnson, listen, we're not on an island here. I mean, this passed unanimously out of the Senate. It had 370 votes out of the House. When it comes to real solutions to make sure foreign flagged ocean carriers are doing right by American manufacturers and American ag producers, you're going to have strong bipartisan support for that. The president should call that out rather than just playing politics.
Now, the one thing that stood out to me in prior comments the president has made, Senator, is this idea that shipping costs have been rigged against the consumer, and they've gone up as much as 1,000%. Do you know where he got that 1,000% and whether they were the culprits behind a lot of this inflation?
I think the culprit behind the inflation, as we all know, Neil, is excessive government spending, wasteful government spending coming out of the $2 trillion tax and spending spree the Democrats pushed through over a year ago. And their solution to solve that is to spend more. Obviously, they want to do another $5 trillion on top of that. So that, coupled with energy policies that have driven up the cost of gasoline, are the reason we have inflation. Supply chain issues, yeah, there's some issues around that, and our legislation gets at that. But at the end of the day, the inflationary pressures that we're seeing in the country today have everything to do with the president and his policies, and the American people are paying the price for that.
All right, now, if you have these supply chain issues addressed, at least when it comes to shipping costs and all of that, I guess, Congressman, the question will be, is that immediate? In other words, will the impact of what you've put pen to paper ease at least that part of it? Because to hear the president tell it, it's taking a bad inflationary situation and gunning it, making it worse.
Well, I would tell you that our bill doesn't do anything to fix pricing. I mean, we're not going to have Republicans be in favor of price fixing. What this is going to do is make sure that the foreign flagged ocean carriers have to play fair. I mean, last year, Neil, 60% of the containers they held back to Asia were hauled back empty. At a time when we had American ag products sitting there on the dock rotting, they were discriminating against American goods. They are not going to be allowed to do that anymore.
In this regard, Congressman, first to you, is it a China issue? Is it a everybody issue? Like, where is this originating?
Well, here's where it originates. We gave the American people trillions of dollars. That increased spending on discretionary electronic items that they buy from Asia. The demand for that doubled. So all of these ships got filled up with iPhones. The ocean carriers, they didn't want to haul American goods. They would use our ports, but they wouldn't haul our goods. What they would do is make a quick turn back to Asia to pick up more iPhones. Our legislation tells them that if they're going to use U.S. ports and if they have cargo space available going back to Asia, they gosh darn better take American corn, beans, dairy, beef, and manufactured goods. That is going to make a big difference.
So, Senator, it sounds to me like there's a particle of truth in what the president is saying, how some scrupulous characters can take a bad situation and make it worse. Now, I know you don't agree that this extends to the oil industry that might be sort of gouging on top of gouging, and there's no study to ever prove that that has happened in the past or is even happening now, but that this feeds this sort of cynicism many people have that some big concerns, shipping concerns, other countries, maybe other businesses take a bad thing and make it worse. Do you think some of that is going on?
Well, I don't think there's any question, which is what our legislation gets at, that a lot of these foreign flag vessels were discriminating against American products. And what we essentially have done is made it easier, made the rules more clear, and provided a mechanism whereby a lot of our shippers in this country can get recourse against some of these unfair practices that have been implemented by these foreign carriers. So yes, in China, and Dusty is absolutely right. I mean, this is a function of partly the relationship with China and what they were trying to do to maximize their profits, to penalize American agriculture and other exporters at a time when we needed to get those products to their destinations overseas. So this clarifies a lot of the rules around that, makes it easier to punish and to penalize bad behavior, and hopefully will make a big difference at the ports. So the simple answer to your question is yes. I think China and other places around the world were taking full advantage of the United States at a time when we needed to have them working in a fair, transparent way and not discriminating against our products.
Well, and Neil, if we want a real solution to inflation, we don't just need China to stop discriminating against American goods. We also need our own president to stop discriminating against American energy. I mean, these gas prices are insane. It is clearly, it puts upward pressure on inflation. The fact that he will go to Saudi Arabia and beg these guys to bail us out, but he won't look to ethanol and he won't look to American domestic production of gas and oil is beyond my understanding.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you both. I mean, so there's progress there. They're not on all of these issues, but this was remarkable to witness. Senator, Congressman, thank you both very, very much.